agree with Alan Greenspan, we ought to just eliminate the debt ceiling. Oh, absolutely, we do.
The ability of almost every working American to access more credit than they should have been able to masked the underlying fact that lower and middle class incomes were not rising.
That's not a tenable strategy. Isn't now the time to eliminate it? Oh, it would have been time a long time ago.
Let's put aside terrorism. Let's talk only about our own homegrown animals that are patrolling America right now. So it goes down to the simplest thing. Be prepared, be vigilant.
The year is 2017. January. Fresh. Brand new. Still wrapped in the swaddle. And my question to the audience is, can we please get the littering under control? I have to open the show with this. I've taught my son about litter since the time he was old enough to even understand what it was. And I could tell you a story about a bee attack that will make you either cry or laugh or both. But I won't go into it right now because I'm trying to drive a point home. Who's littering? Who in the hell is littering still? I walk down these streets. I'm walking my sons down the street from their school, from Carter School. And there's a condom package, empty. Cardboard, the outer shell. That is sitting right there in the public, just out in the open. Like someone had to take it and toss it out the window of the car or drop it on the walk, and I just don't know where these barbarians are. Littering is one of the great pet peeves of my life, because whenever I'm in a pristine outdoor realm, you know what I mean? Whenever I'm on the banks of some beautiful stream, no matter how high up in the mountains I climb with the fly rod in hand, it doesn't matter. Somebody has decided that rather than take the lid or the wrapper or the cap or the box or the bottle back with them, that they'll just leave it right here for the squirrels. They'll just leave it right here to complement the color of the grass. The shit drives me nuts. And it's amazing to me that we still have people who litter. I cannot get away from this. This is what, it's not Muslim terrorism, right? It's not the battle against gun control. It's not climate change. It's not Donald Trump. It's not Barack Obama. And it's not even the topic I want to talk about today. But I want to grip you early on. And I want to ask you, while you're fresh, while you just tuned in, who the hell's littering? And if you're one of the sorry sacks that's throwing things out your car window or dropping them when you're walking, whatever it is, if you're one of these sad people, please come out of the Stone Age and pick up after yourself. There is no mother around to clean up after you, okay? Can you do me one favor and please pick up after yourself? Because it's terrifying that we are such a nation of greatness, and we have people who just drop their garbage all over doesn't matter where they are, it's garbage, just leave it. And how do you bring children up? What I want to know is, how do you explain that to a child? Right? It's very easy for me to explain to my son, hey, look, you never drop that there, all right? Pick that up, we're going to throw that away. We don't litter, all right? We don't litter, we never litter, littering is terrible. It's very easy to explain that to a child. We love the environment. We're in the woods. We're out in it a lot. So it's easy for me to say, let's conserve this. Let's preserve this. Let's not leave our garbage. How do you explain to a kid when you leave a campsite or when you leave or not even a kid, we don't have to go into the woods. When you decide that your McDonald's cup looks better on the median than it does in your cup holder, how do you explain that to a child? Because I feel like a child would inherently know, that doesn't look like a trash can, mama. You know what I mean? I feel like inherently they would question that situation. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to get worked up, but this is something that drives me insane. See, unlike most climate fanatics and eco fanatics, I concern myself with the actual issues. Right? I concern myself with the actual issues, like we have problems with pollution. How often do we ever hear anyone talk about pollution anymore and littering? Never. You never hear it. You don't hear the words pollution because pollution equals big, giant corporation that's paid someone off in order to be okay to pollute. Right? You hear about your car. You hear about your SUV. You hear about your wood-burning stove. You hear about coal. What I want to say, and I'll say no more, is stop trash. Stop trash. Stop trash. Stop trash. Put it in the garbage can. Stop throwing it on the floor. Stop throwing... I mean, you wouldn't do that in your home. You wouldn't do it in your home. Look, it's a beautiful day here in Virginia. It's probably 60 degrees right now and the sun's going down. It's gorgeous out. It doesn't even feel like it's the worst thing. It's the worst thing you could do to a man like me is give me two of these beautiful days back to back and then hit me with the 30 degrees tomorrow. It's going to level me. It's going to throw me into depression like you wouldn't believe. The winter truly depresses me. I don't know if it's a vitamin D deal, you know what I mean? But I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. But I'm not here to brag. I'm not here to whine or moan. I want to talk about the power and the liberty and the freedom of this freelance lifestyle. It's not for the faint of heart. But if you have self-control, minimal amounts of self-control, there is nothing that compares to the freelance lifestyle. And if you're lucky enough, a lot of people go into, and they make a lot more money than I'm ever going to make, but they go into things like copywriting. They go into things like marketing and, areas like that. And maybe they love it. SEO. Shoot me in the face, okay? I've written a few articles that were heavy on the search engine optimization. I can't do it. It's terrifying. I'd rather clean toilets for a living than write SEO articles. I can't do it. Make sure that you include the word this many times and the key phrase and the this phrase and the that phrase. I mean, there's no life in that writing. The life has been drained out of that writing. And if I went to a website that was so tightly wound with search engine optimization in every article, I would leave immediately. I don't care how far up on Google it shows up. You know what I mean? That's the crux. If you optimize a website in the way that they want you to, and you do it to the utmost, and keywords and this words and that and everything, you get sick reading that garbage that comes out of it. The end result is garbage. That's what it is. Terrible. Horrible. It's impossible about. There's no passion in it because if the sentences are... Anyway, if you can find a genre and a niche that you enjoy writing, and you find that market and you begin to drill down into it. See, for me, it's survival and the outdoors. And I could write in others too and have a hell of a lot of fun because I'm a very, jacked league type of guy. So that being said, if you can really enjoy that type of stuff and get involved in all that, then you can live a lifestyle with this freelance work that is absolutely unreal. And I don't mean, I'm not getting on here to brag. I want people to know this because there is so much more to life than the 9 to 5 now. There is so much more. There is so many more opportunities. There's so much technology. There's so many different ways to make money. The old line business, it's not the only way anymore. And I wouldn't call you a fool for doing it because my wife does it and she's a very successful woman who makes a lot of money. But I'm just telling you that there are ways for you to live a life that you can't even believe. And thanks to necessity and thanks to preparedness on my end, that's exactly what's happened to me since I opened jwrights.com. If you go to jwrights.com, you'll see there's not a lot of content, not a lot of anything on there. It's basically my company website where I send clients and tell them, look at my portfolio, look at my samples, look at me and my family, look at what I'm all about, and hire me. And when I get hired this is the beautiful thing about freelance. Joe Rogan, whether you like the guy or not is irrelevant to me. I listen to him a lot. And I remember listening to him on a podcast once, and he was talking about having, and if you don't like the F word, I apologize, but I'm going to not take it out of context because it doesn't hold the same sort of muster. He was talking about having fuck you money. And I was listening to him, you know, because he's a very well-off dude. He's made a lot of money. He's been on TV. He's been comedy for years, you know. And he was talking about having fuck you money, and if you have that kind of money, then you need to take advantage of it, right? In other words, you need to turn the phone off, and you need to tell the whole world, fuck you, and go do what you want to do. And I really appreciated that mindset. You know what I mean? This idea that, what am I doing if I'm not enjoying this ride, right? If I'm making money. Now, with freelancing, it's kind of similar. You still have to work, and you don't have fuck you money, but what you have is the time to do what you want the way you want. Because all of a sudden, you can log in and work whenever you want. All of a sudden, you have deadlines, but those deadlines can be achieved in any kind of circus act that you want them to be achieved in. And if you're a madman like me, you can wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and you could do half your work day before anyone in your home even wakes up. And what happens, man, is that in the middle of when the rest of the world is staring into a computer screen, gouging their left eyeball out, just praying for the time to tick away, you can do whatever you want. Matter of fact, really, you could put in hours in the morning and put in hours at night, and you can have the whole day to yourself. If you can be efficient and you can be in control of your clients and things like that, your time management, you can live a dream life in freelance. You know, it's not what you think it is. I have to tell you that. It's not what you think. Freelance, thanks to websites like freelancer.com, thanks to websites like upwork.com, what's the other one? I don't know the other one. Something guru.com. Thanks to these freelancing websites, if you're a guy with integrity or a girl with integrity and skills, they handle everything. So in other words, I don't shoot an email out to somebody and tell them, hey, I'd love to work for you. Okay, great. I'll get back to you in a month, and I'll tell you what I want you to do. All right, excellent. And when you get back to me, I'm going to send you some samples of work that I've done. All right. And in 2 months, you're working. And you know what happens? You finish the work, and it takes another 2 months to get paid as well. These things don't happen. You know what? And then the payment. How's the payment? You could do some PayPal. Okay, well, you know what? I don't want to pay this guy. I didn't like your work. Or you know what? I'm just going to run off with his work. How about that? It's a big world. Good luck finding me. These websites take care of all that. They throw money in escrow. And that money, all of it is handled. And on top of it, right, so you'll hear bad reviews about places like these. They're not necessarily content mills. They're kind of like job mills. But you'll hear bad things about these places because people will say, well, they charge a fee. You know, so if you get started with a client, right off the top, they take 20%. Until you've made a certain amount now. If you establish yourself with this client, you make up over $500, then all of a sudden these websites don't take as much money. Right? The 20% drops to 10%. And you could get ignorant and upset about 10% as well. But then you have to realize these guys are advertising. These guys are doing all they're making sure that those job boards are full of work. And let me tell you something. About 10 years ago, was it about 10 years ago? Yeah, it was probably about 10 years ago, 8 years ago maybe. I remember sitting at a desktop computer looking for writing jobs, right, in my spare time, because I've always been writing. My whole life I've been writing. It's always been on the back burner. And I remember looking for writing jobs. And let me tell you something. If I got a job and made $50 over a 6-month span, it was a big victory. Now, I wasn't doing it full-time or anything, but still. You go on to these freelancer.coms, and you'll be amazed at the amount of work that's out there. And if you can wedge yourself in there amongst the pack and start writing or start creating, it's graphic design, there's IT work, there's personal assistant work. Freelancing is not about drawing pictures and writing books for people. There are incredible opportunities, man. Information technology is huge. Marketing, sales. There are tons of options. And the beauty of it all is you work whenever you want. As long as you meet that deadline and you make that client happy, you work whenever the hell you want to work. And you make good money doing it. And the other beautiful thing is you're working in your home. Today, let me just give you a snapshot, okay? Today I was sitting with my son in next to me, right? He's playing a game on the iPad or whatever. He's playing a little brain game on there. And I'm sitting there, right? He got off as a half day of school. He got off school early. And I'm sitting, my other son is upstairs taking a nap in his crib, right? He's taking a nap in his crib by himself, enjoying his life in dreamland. My other son's sitting next to his dad, playing a game. It's midday. It's 11 o'clock, maybe 12 after lunch. It was after lunch. We had an awesome lunch, too. Freelance lunch is a whole next level thing, too. That's a topic in and of itself. The freelancer's lunch. It'll be an ebook. I can guarantee you that. Because I eat better than anyone for lunch. That's that simple. I have all day to consider my lunch. I have all day to prepare my lunch. And when I made lunch today, I took some Italian sausage and I cooked it down with diced onions, fresh garlic chopped into the pot. Then I tossed that with some fresh kale. Let that kale cook down. You know what I mean? The kale got delicious. And I threw rotini in there, splashed a little tomato sauce in that, topped it with more olive oil, red chili flake, and Parmesan cheese. Yeah, it's like that. It's like that in the freelance world. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what I'm trying to tell you, man. For a guy like me, I get my son every day. I get both of them. I take my son to school. I pick him up. I bring him home. They had a bad day. Guess what? They come right to dad. They lay on the couch. They watch TV. It's an amazing life. And there are nights and there are days. There are mornings when I wake up at 4 in the morning and I don't want to get up. And I know, you know what? The only way I'm going to make this deadline is if I'm up till midnight tonight. Because of the things that I have to do during the day. I still got to be dad and all that. Terrifying some days. But most of the time. But even pushing through those days isn't bad. Some people work hours like that, but they have to do it in an office building at the top floor, miles and miles away from their family. You know what I mean? I'm cooking dinner, cleaning the house. I'm doing all kinds of things during the day in between working. There's no travel. I bought a brand new car not too long ago, and I can't even put miles on it. I don't go anywhere hardly. The rigmarole of traffic and if this sounds at all remotely appealing to you, email me. I would gladly give you help. I would gladly get you started. Email me, and we'll make this thing happen. I'll push you in the right direction based on your expertise. I'm not going to charge anything. I'm not a consultant. No, I write for people. That's what I do. I write for people and for myself. And lastly, as we go down this litany here about freelancing, one of the other massive benefits is all of a sudden you have time to do that thing you wanted to do. All of a sudden, thanks to freelancing, thanks to not being under the thumb of someone else for 8 hours, that business, that book, that documentary, that skill, that hobby, all of a sudden that becomes available. The time to do that suddenly opens itself up. Now you have the ability to make more money outside of what you're doing. Maybe now you start selling some t-shirts or selling some hats or whatever. Your clothing line. You can do so much on the internet now. It's sick. But when you have the time to do it, now you're diversifying income streams and you're really living the life that people should be living. You know, sometimes my son, when we're driving to school, sometimes he asks me, Dad, who's your boss? And I only have one thing to tell him, and that's Mom. I say, I don't have a boss. I mean, unless you count Mom. And that's what it is. That's the reality of the freelance life. If you've got a skill, if you've got the dedication, if you're personable enough not to scare clients off with crazy talk, and if you can get the job done in a timely manner and do good work. There's people who can do this, that are stuck in jobs, doing jobs they don't like when they shouldn't be, when they should be working for themselves. There's a pool of entrepreneurs out there like you've never seen in history. People all over the world are becoming entrepreneurs now because of the internet. And you know what they need? They need experts. They need experts like you. They need experts like you to tell them, all right, I got a website. What should I sell? How should I sell it? Where should I put it? How can I fix it? How can I do it better? They need you to do things, write things, design things, create things, fix things, build things all over the world. And it's only going to grow. I'll tell you the secret. Okay? The secret is it's really cool to go after the consumer, right? The market of the consumer is a great one. Still, to this day. There's a lot of people out there buying stuff. But if you want to make a living, right? If you want to make a living on your own, with your own business, in freelancing, you'll make your living and you'll make your money off the entrepreneur and the surge of entrepreneurs in this world. That's the most powerful way to do it in my book right now. Right now, go after the entrepreneur. So it may be a little too much, joy, a little too much excitement, a little too much happiness in that first nearly a half hour there, opening of the show. The idea that a man is doing well and he's doing well on his own, it's not news Americans like. It's not. I mean, that's a sad thing, but that's the reality. It's not news that people want to hear about. They'd much rather hear about they finally trapped the Orlando Monster's wife. They found her in San Francisco today. She's going to get arraigned, I hope. She's, of course, playing the game that she didn't. I had no idea who he was. I didn't know what he was up to. He met my kids, but I didn't know him. He was real nice to my kids, but I had no idea that he was capable of such violence. I love that. When I hear that, here's my problem. When I hear he met my kids, it's a lose-lose situation. It's like tic-tac-toe when you get in that situation where no matter where you put an X, you lose. I feel like that's the situation this woman should be in. If you brought a killer into your home, a madman, is he crazy or not? See, here's the catch-22. Did the nice, innocent Muslim woman bring a monster into her household? And was she such a terrible parent that she didn't even realize it? That she didn't even realize she was putting her children in harm's way? That's number one. Number two is, or was he just a down-home, good radical Muslim who just wanted to kill gay people for being gay, and, she probably was right along with that. She probably went right along with that value set and didn't even think anything of it until he actually got the guns out. And if she did know, and if she was into that sort of thing, and she knew that he had the weapons, and she knew, well, then she should be put in jail. She's an accessory. She's, Do you understand? These things, when you add these pieces to the puzzle, like these women, when you add these women to the puzzle, right? The woman, the girlfriend, whatever she was, the wife. When you add these people to the puzzle, it focuses the issue a little more. So either the man, this is how you corner someone into telling you the truth. Either the man was a complete and total maniac, which makes you a complete and total failure of a woman, because you let this guy around you, you married him, the whole 9 yards. If he was a mental case, maniac, madman, murderer, and you married him and you brought him around your kids, well then maybe we need to talk about whether or not the kids get to stay in your house or not, because clearly your judgment is skewed. Or, if we want to be honest with ourselves in America in 2017, we can say that we have a woman who reads a book that says gays should be killed, and probably, okay, I can go with that. And she marries a man who reads the same book that says gays should be killed, and he's, I'm going to live that way too. And she takes her religion very seriously, and he takes his religion very seriously. And the big difference is, very seriously doesn't mean I'm not going to associate with gay people. When it comes to these radical Muslims who take this part of their doctrine a little too seriously, this is what they do. They kill gay people. I don't care that he was gay. They say he was gay too. Well, that's even more of a reason for him to cleave closer to his religion and say, you know what? I'm not gay. I'm going to try to pray the gay out of me. You can't fight who you are, buddy. Allah will not help you. I can promise you that. If you like penis, you like penis. There's no getting around it. There's no rug that's going to get it out of you. I'm sorry. So out of frustration, he goes in there and he massacres the gay people because he can't understand why I like penis. Why do I like penis? Damn it, I'm not supposed to like it. It's unholy. I pray 5 times a day. That's the breaks, my man. So on top of it all, you look at the woman, you say, okay, so you married a gay. Jesus Christ. So you had children, and you got in bed and you married yourself a nice radical Muslim murderer, homosexual man. A complete and total maniac, radical murderer who is also not even really interested in what you had going on. And you look at a woman like that and you understand she's probably demolished. But does that matter? Shouldn't we look at her whether she's fit to have children in the household or not? I mean, come on. How can you turn a blind eye to that? If I had machine guns and I was getting ready to kill people, my wife would know that. I mean, I just can't see how you wouldn't know that. Let's move on. Dead story. Nobody cares. Who cares? She'll probably be let go and given a nice house in Detroit somewhere. What else? Rich guys. I don't know. The news is so horrible. You go to the news websites, they're terrible. The only news website that is newsworthy is futuredanger.com. That's it. The rest of them will put you to sleep. They'll put you to sleep with the tech news that's not really tech. I don't know. Maybe I should look into a news channel myself. I'd like to draw a balance between positive and negative news, you know? I would, really. I think the reason positive news fails is because they don't take the same angles as they do in negative news, right? As in your murder, death, sex, violence, drugs, rock and roll, fame, celebrity. And if you can intertwine any of those, then you really hit the jackpot. But, I mean, you can touch on a lot of those stories in a very positive light. On some of those subjects. Right? What's great violence news? Right? What's uplifting violent news? Well, it's combat sports. It's training combat sports. It's children competing in combat sports all across the nation. You know how many kids are getting into jiu-jitsu now? Let me just tell you how prevalent jiu-jitsu is in the youth. Okay? I was lucky enough to move into a neighborhood around the same time that another family moved into the neighborhood just 2 doors down from us. And they had a young boy who was about a year older than my son. And then they had another boy about a year before I had my second son. And it just so happened that his son got into jiu-jitsu as well as my son. So then we had a vacant house across the street from us. Right? Vacant home. God only knows what's going to happen here. We've got one of those neighborhoods. You know, I'm no rich guy. I don't live in a gated community, things like that. We've got a vacant house, and we've got one of those neighborhoods that's close enough to an ugly population and an ugly community that we could swing either way. You know what I mean? A few rough house sales. A few rough house sales to the wrong type of people. And that's not a racial thing, okay, if you know what I mean. But a few rough house sales to the wrong type of person or people, and we could wind up having serious problems, right? Because we have families moving in a lot because their houses are relatively affordable. And then we have, you know, people who are renting properties who are coming in and usually don't stay very long and then they're out. But while they're there, everybody's like, good God, what's going on? Now, that said, we have this vacant house right across the street. We're like, God, come on. We get wind that somebody's moving in and they've got a 6-year-old son, so we're awesome, right? Who cares? I don't really need to know anything else about him. They got a 6-year-old son, great. This is going to be perfect. So we haven't met him. My neighbors met him. I never met him. So my neighbor is at jiu-jitsu class with his son. And it just so happens that he runs into the mother that just bought the house, you know, the mother of the family that just bought the house, and the 6-year-old is taking trial jiu-jitsu classes at the same gym. Phenomenal. This is a story, though. This is a news story that's the population of young children taking jiu-jitsu is exploding. What is jiu-jitsu? What's it all about? Why is it good for our kids? How can we... Do you understand the news story? Integrate the violence, right? In the year 2016, Nate Diaz stopped the powerhouse, most popular fighter in the world, Conor McGregor, with jiu-jitsu that was slicker than ice. I mean, do you remember what happened in that fight? If you watch MMA, he sunk that guillotine in like a boa. It was an amazing thing to watch. But we don't go that route. We don't go that route. This dog was lost and he found his way home. This old woman died and gave all her money to the Cancer Institute. They're great stories, but nobody wants to read them or hear about them. So it's time to take a look at positive news and figure out how you can integrate what people want to read about. Right now, I can get lewd and go into positive sex stories too, but I'm not going to do that. Because I've got quite a few ideas of how we could spin that into some very what's more positive than sex? There's nothing. Are you kidding me? Anyhow, you get tired of the negativity. You know, I want to make change in this world. I want to do positive things. And when I go into show prep and I bring up the Drudge Report and it's one after another. I did like the story about how the media begged Martin Luther King III to argue with Donald Trump. That was a good headline. Begs to argue with Trump. Like, people get along, that's all. You have to deal with it. See, the media is so vicious. It's not about... That's the problem. You know, you look at the CNNs of the world and whatever they are, whatever news outlets you think got your back. They got my back. They're making money. They're in the business of making money. Don't you understand? The more crazy this world gets, the more divided we become as a nation, the better. Oh, the riots, the Missouris and the Charlottes and the what else was it? The riots, the LAs, they lick their lips. They're like wolves. A school shooting? What, are you kidding me? A school shooting for CNN? They probably give bonuses out. People are working overtime. Everybody's smiling. Ah, shame what happened to them kids. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Non-stop, 24-hour coverage. The shooting, the massacre at Albuquerque. Who knows? It's non-stop. Money, 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 money. They don't care. They look at people square in the face. Hey, nice to meet you. I'm so-and-so Jackoff. I do this show at this time, and I'd love to have you on the show to talk about money, money, money. They don't care. No idea how little these people care about you and your family. Give a shit about you. You were lying in a gutter. They'd say, get a camera over here. You'd be bleeding to death. Your wife's getting ready. Get a camera over here. What about the ambulance? Shut up. Camera. Get the cell phone out. It's a brutal thing. Which is why I gave you 20 minutes about my freelance career and how well it's going and how you have the ability to get yourself into a position where you have do you know how good my garden is going to be this year? Do you have any idea how much time I'm not going to be spending commuting? How much time I'm not going to be spending burning up time at work on a lunch break or on a stupid whatever it is? You know, you get those lulls, there's natural lulls in the workday. And when you take a lunch break and when you take all those natural lulls and you add them up, you realize, oh God, this is a lot of time. This could be an hour or two. And all of a sudden that hour or two is me behind a bow, shooting arrows, plucking weeds. You know what I mean? It's the life you gotta live. It's the life. We're in for a sea change in this country if we can get the shit together. If we can get it together, we can look back at the Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton race and say to ourselves, whoa, I thought that was the beginning of the end. Right? I thought that was the beginning of the end. I thought it was all downhill from there. We could turn this thing if we can get into positivity and get into community cohesion, bringing people together, doing things together within the community, breaking the dependence from the government and from this program and that program, and getting good food to people who need it, having children fall in love with vegetables at a young age. I know that sounds crazy, but if you have kids, I know now. You know, I used to think that I was an anomaly. Oh, I'm just this crazy guy who eats vegetables raw all the time, and I like the taste of them, and I always have since I was a little kid, and I'm just a weirdo. And my sister was like that too. We're just weird kid, you know what I mean? Just weird. But I've done it 2 more times now. Okay, I fed these kids of mine fresh, raw vegetables. Look at this moron in the Cadillac driving like an idiot. Where you going, dude? Anyway, you get these fresh vegetables in their mouth early. The peppers, the green beans, the crunchy stuff, you know what I mean? The celery. And they want it. Then they want it. Then they want it. And then you have a kid like Carter who wants kale. I want kale. Dad, get the kale. And he just eats it. Chews it. Leafy. Delicious. If we can make this sea change happen in the nation, you have no idea. The world will look at America with so green with envy, probably, right? Oh, them damn. Europe will cry. Europe will cry because they've killed themselves, because they had a lot of great ideas that they tried to do through the government dole. Right? It's not about that. It's not about a socialist society. It's about independence. It's about breaking the dependence, cutting it off like a malignant tumor. And we can do it. We can do it. We can look at the beginning of the end, right? The Donald Trump and Hillary, and we could say, you know what? It was actually the end of the beginning. It was actually the end of the beginning for America. And now we're carving out the next evolution of America and what that means. And it means more outdoors. It means more time with nature. It means more time in the garden, more time with family, even dad. You know, this idea that, oh, mom had to go to work and she had to but what if it went the other way? What if we could get most people at home, both parents, through working freelance and through online businesses and things like that, through delivery? Of course things are going to suffer. Retail is going to suffer, but we'll still get out. Here's the thing. If you've got 2 parents at home with kids working from home, you know what they're going to do? They're going to take a break in the middle of the day and go to Walmart and take kids over to Target and do this and do this. It's still going to be that. You could argue that retail might even do better because of the fact that you'll have 2 people making incomes and none of them are going to be trapped inside of a building for 8 hours with 30 minutes to leave to get lunch and come back. So you can argue that those trips out to retail stores would even go up. Am I dreaming too big? I don't want to talk about the misery today, all right? We're doing the Survival Canine Wednesday night live. All right, we're talking about dogs. We're talking about how there's 8.7 million species on the planet, and only one of them really likes us. That's an amazing statistic, folks. 8.7 million species on the planet, and only one of them will give us the time of day. What does that say about us? What does that say about the hairless monkey? Not a lot. All right, I'm gone. See you next time. Live Wednesday night at prepperbroadcasting.com. Come join the chat room. I'll see you there.